Is your USD heading down lower, or are we going to start pushing in towards the highs? Good morning, guys. My name is Fabio, and welcome back to another daily market update. I want to thank every single one of you for wishing me a happy birthday. It was an amazing weekend where I had the time to log off and reflect on some of the things that have happened in the past year. So looking forward to another year and another beautiful, just a beautiful life. So let's just dive into the market outlook. As we can see, EURUSD has on the daily time frame caused a break of structure in towards the highs, swing low, swing high, and now we're creating a overall continuation of the uptrend. Now I want to give you guys the opportunity here to see kind of like a clean chart trade breakdown all the way from the higher in towards the lower time frame. So first of all, what I like to do is just mark out my swing low and my swing high. So here from a swing structure perspective, after this break of structure, we can clearly see that the overall market on EURUSD is bullish, right? So we retraced all the way back down in towards discount prices and in towards kind of like this doji candle that we had here on the daily time frame, which has been acting as an area of demand. Now, this is not the very first time that we've tapped in towards this area of demand, because the first time we tapped into it was over here on the 19th of June. Then we came back into it with NFP, and since then we've been reversing in towards the highs. Now, obviously, when on a market structure perspective, let's say from the swing structure perspective, you retrace in towards 0.5 fib, that is pretty much the sign that the retracement is potentially over and that the upside continuation is now ready to take place. Now, what has happened? So far, we have seen the overall, let's say, daily demand zones hold. So here we had the first daily demand zone / order flow. We tap into that over here, and then we continue our leg back up in towards the highs. Now, as you can see, then again, we get another push in towards the upside. We break out of this overall box. Then on this day here, Thursday, we retrace back in towards the box, and then on Friday, we push back up in towards the highs. Now, at the moment, your USD is fighting with supply, because we have two imbalanced candles over here on the daily time frame that are kind of like suppressing price and keeping or preventing price from pushing any higher, as currently pushing price down lower. So we have demand here fighting with this supply zone. This is a pretty strong supply zone because it broke structure here and here, and that is why price is currently stalling. So personally, I'm not a big fan of taking trades here on EURUSD when supply is fighting with demand. I would personally only be looking at a short position on EURUSD once the daily fractal breaks, retest, and then look for another short to potentially take out that NFP low. That is what I would be looking at. If we take out the high again here, let's say today or tomorrow, and start breaking this area of supply, then I would be happy to kind of like trade the over momentum up higher on EURUSD and see if there's any potential longs to be taken in towards, for example. And then if we zoom out a little bit, that's the next kind of thing that we have to do, because then we have to start looking at a higher target. Then we would be looking at this high over here of around 1.19753, which is, let's say, the first liquidity high of these overall descending highs here. So that's kind of like what I have for EURUSD. I am personally looking now to see, are we going to head down lower or not? Because on a weekly time frame, what we have here is also this weekly area of supply that is currently in control and we're currently trading inside of. And then on the daily time frame, we're currently inside of supply. So I would say that there is definitely an opportunity to look for a short, because also if you go into the lower time frame, being the 4 hour, then you'll clearly see that we have ascending lows. Here we have some ascending lows, and then what you potentially want to see is also that NFP low here get taken out. So an overall deeper correction is what I would really favor. But if, let's say, we do start seeing the daily starting to break the fractal high and some more momentum come in, then I would just say, okay, let's stay out of that. Let's continue to look for longs, because then it will definitely push up higher in my opinion. But if today and tomorrow we can start seeing some downside momentum, then I'll be happy to look to short back down in towards that NFP low. Now, the reason that I'm still interested in those shorts there on the dollar, or excuse me, on EURUSD, is because the dollar index is still inside a higher time frame area of demand. So if we look here at the weekly time frame, what we can see here is that the weekly on the dollar is bullish. So this here is your sub for the buy from the weekly fractal, which is currently in control. This is the fractal low, this is the fractal high. So we're looking overall for this to push up higher, okay? Then if we go into the daily, then you'll see on the daily time frame as well that this is the overall sell for the big buy up, causing the break of structure. Low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and now we're just looking for the higher low to be formed to continue to push the market up higher. The only thing here with the dollar index is that on the lower time frame, we don't have the best area of demand. Because if you look at this also from like a 4-hour swing perspective, this here's your break of structure up, meaning that this here's the swing low, this here's the swing high. This here is your demand zone. Now, we come into that demand zone and we see an initial bullish reaction. However, what has happened is that when we form that overall bullish reaction, the lows inside of the demand zone are again equal. So preferably you would want to see another push down and then the push up. But let's monitor it. Overall, we have this descending correction here. And what I'm now looking for is the order flow to shift. So this area of consolidation was in control. You see tap and you sell off. Now this area is in control. This area of consolidation, we tapped and we pushed down lower. So we need the dollar to break out. So break this kind of like level of market structure. And then once that market structure level gets broken, then I'll have a lot of confidence that we're ready to take out the overall NFP high this week, right over here at around that 100 level. So I'm looking to see if we can get that happen. Overall, there are some pairs that you can already anticipate on the fact that the dollar will head up higher. Obviously, if it heads down lower, then it will provide us with some new opportunities as price will then kind of like change itself. A good example of that is AUDUSD, and what I mean with changing itself is, for example, that if the dollar were to take out those lows, that would mean AUDUSD has the potential to push up higher because a weak dollar means AU higher. Then, for example, we would push up in towards this higher supply zone. And then if the dollar, for example, then shifts in its demand zone, so let's say I'm now drawing out the dollar, right, is trading here. It comes back down to take out the equal lows and then gives the 4-hour fractal shift and forms a demand zone. That would then mean that AU is most likely inside of this supply zone, and then you have a good high probability short, okay? Now, AU is still running. This is still a nice position in my opinion. It liquidated the initial reaction over here to the 50% fib, and I'm now looking for the overall momentum to continue in towards the downside. So yeah, that is pretty much what I have lined up. Overall, what has happened this morning is that we've broken the internal fractal structure. So the overall fractal structure is obviously still bearish. We made a connection with this imbalance. The initial reaction here has now been liquidated with this wick. And now internally as well, we've seen a 1-hour fractal low break, meaning this is now supply. And if this supply zone can hold, then we could see another push in towards the downside there on AU. GBPUSD overall is also looking good for some further downside here on the daily time frame. What you can clearly see is the overall uptrend. So push up, push down, push up, push down, push up, and then boom, break of structure in towards the downside. Swing high, swing low. Market retraces into the 618786 zone over here. It liquidates this overall internal high. So the overall little, let's say, bump in the road gets taken out over here. And then on the lower time frame, confirming that it potentially wants to head down lower, we received a 4-hour change of character right over here, right? So push up, push down, push up, boom, push down, retrace in towards supply, and now we're looking for the overall continuation to take out all of the ascending lows. So I'm looking for an overall further push in towards the downside there on GBPUSD in towards the rest of today. So that's what I have for GU. If it does push up higher, then I'll reevaluate. But let's say we do start pushing up higher again, then this is kind of like the level that I'll be looking to short again from, as this is where we have all of the descending highs. So the next short would then take place from there. So short from here or short from here. Those are kind of like the two options that I have. If it were to break this market structure, then you could take a short-term long, not the highest probability trade, but that is definitely a possibility. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NZDUSD itself is similar to AU. Overall, this is my, let's say, one of the pairs with a little bit more momentum in the sense that, look, so price is overall been consolidating. We sweep the range high, and now we're looking for a sweep of the range low to take out these equal lows. The daily fractal is bearish between the fractal high and the fractal low, and price retraced into premium. Now, on the daily time frame, you can clearly see here that the internal trend shifts as we get a push up, push down, push up, push down, push up, and then boom, strong push down, breaking this low that previous broke this high. That then means that this here for now is our overall supply zone, where inside you can look for shorts, go down to the 4-hour, and then on the 4-hour time frame, you can look for the potential shorting opportunity. This is the overall buy, brother, sell. So preferably inside of that, you want to be looking for a short position. So yeah, I'll be looking for some more NZDUSD shorts. And then we have the dollar Swiss, dollar yen, and gold. Dollar Swiss consolidating, not a very interesting pair at the moment, despite it did kind of like liquidate the overall range low. Now we're still looking for this to push up higher in towards the NFP high. It could manipulate a little bit more as price is extremely consolidative, but I am favoring another leg up. USD JPY. has also been moving very similarly to USD Swiss. Overall, this is looking more bearish than bullish at the moment, where again we manipulate the high, manipulate the low. So if you look at consolidation wise, here range high, range low, and this is exactly what I mean. Consolidate, boom, fake out, and then everybody on both sides pretty much gets fucked. So now what's happened is that we've retraced into this supply zone, internal liquidity here. There's a little bump in the road gets taken. So I'm kind of looking more for an overall continuation, as the yen is also relatively strong as of recent times. Preferably still I would short from the red zone, but for now it seems that there is more momentum in towards the downside here for USD/JPY. And then last of all, of course, gold. USDCAD, by the way, I know a lot of you want USDCAD. USDCAD looking good for further upside. Pushed up higher on Friday again. I'm still looking for this to push up higher. Daily fractal is bullish. Weekly is overall bullish. I mean, it looks clean. Retrace to 0.5 fib. If it does retrace down lower, more longs to be identified. But for now, the overall momentum is in towards the upside. Gold in itself, extremely consolidative pair, guys. As of recent times, I don't really need to explain this too much, but all I can kind of say is that the price action is extremely dirty. All I'm seeing at the moment is this descending price action where there is potential for a reversal. It's kind of squeezing in towards the downside, and there's going to be a breakout soon. I'm still favoring a further push in towards the highs. I'm just keeping in mind that this is kind of like the refined sell for the buy, that we could still potentially tap in towards it before looking for a long. So I'm staying relatively safe on this one. I would be happier to look for longs on gold once we start breaking above this high over here and kind of like break this internal downtrend. So I'm favoring some more longs again once we start breaking that, but for now very consolidative, so not focusing too much on it itself, as the daily is also just moving sideways. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day, and we will speak soon.